The crystal chandeliers of the Ritz-Carlton ballroom glittered like smug little eyes, watching me from above as I sat at the edge of the celebration, quiet, alone, and exactly where my family expected me to be. It was my father's 60th birthday. A lavish affair. Waiters glided between tables carrying gold-trimmed flutes of champagne. The Hamilton name was on full display. Bankers, CEOs, senators, and all their equally polished spouses. And in the center of it all stood Emily, my older sister, beaming in a crimson Gucci gown and holding court like a queen. Our Emily, my mother had whispered earlier, senior partner at 35, just like your father. The true Hamilton legacy. I was barely an afterthought. And one asked what I'd been working on. Not my parents, not my sister, not even the guests I used to babysit for when we were younger. They all assumed I was still figuring things out after that software job I left years ago. But on my phone screen, hidden discreetly in my lap, a message from my CFO glowed. Miss Chin, final IPO preparations complete. Hedge Fusion stock set to open at $150. Projected valuation, $85 billion. I swallowed the smile threatening my lips. Charlotte still playing with her phone apps. Emily's voice floated toward me. Her laugh followed like perfume, sweet but biting. Meanwhile, my hedge fund just closed $1 billion acquisition. Real money, not just computer games. My eyes flicked to the alert still open on my screen. That computer game was about to put Hedge Fusion among the most valuable tech firms in history. And my 40% founder's stake. Let's just say Emily's billion was pocket change, but she didn't know that. Not yet. A waiter passed me by with a tray of cocktails, not even offering one. I didn't mind. I preferred this vantage point, the corner seat, quiet and ignored. It had its advantages. From here, I could see the entire ballroom. My father in tailored navy Armani, shaking hands with old college friends. My mother standing beside Emily, her pearls catching the light just so. They looked like royalty, like a family that had produced only one worthy heir. And then there was me, Charlotte Hamilton, the other daughter, the invisible one. Charlotte, Mom appeared beside me, her voice clipped. The Andersons are asking about you. I told them you're still exploring options. Right, exploring options. Like negotiating 5 rounds of funding with sovereign wealth funds. Like leading the largest quantum AI development in the private sector. But she didn't need to know that yet. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Wall Street Journal front page confirmed. Headline: Unknown tech founder to become youngest self-made billionaire in history. 2 hours. That's all. 2 hours. Until the market opened and the world found out what I'd built. Still working on that little tech startup? Emily sauntered over, holding a glass of something expensive. You know, our fund manages billions now. Real capital. You should consider joining us. Maybe you could help with social media. I almost laughed. Thanks, Emily. I'll think about it. Oh, and the Wilsons are hiring junior analysts. My father chimed in, suddenly appearing behind her. Your sister could put in a word. Time to get a real job, don't you think? A real job, like building the AI platform that was currently being courted by every Fortune 100 company on the planet? I sipped water instead of answering. The satisfaction would come later. Another message blinked. Miss Chin, your personal IPO stake is projected at $45 billion. You will become the richest person under 40 globally. Emily leaned over to Mom, not even bothering to whisper. Look at her, sitting here while real business happens. Maybe this will finally teach her that success isn't found behind a screen. Behind a screen is exactly where I'd found it. My AI platform was about to disrupt traditional banking, upend hedge fund models, and redefine how data flowed across financial networks. In fact, my proprietary tech already powered some of the platforms they use, though they didn't know it yet. Charlotte, Mom tried again, this time gesturing across the room. At least mingle. The Morgan's daughter just made VP at Goldman. Everyone's talking about her. Goldman Sachs, the same firm that had requested an emergency meeting with Hedge Fusion after pre-market indicators hit record levels this morning. I declined. My custom Patek Philippe watch read 7:53 a.m., less than 2 hours to open. One of the event's massive screens, tuned to CNBC with the sound muted, showed footage of a crowded trading floor. The caption read, Markets brace for Hedge Fusion IPO historic debut expected. No one in the ballroom noticed it, except me. Emily sipped her drink, blissfully unaware. So what are you doing now, Charlotte? Still working from your little apartment? Yes, the same apartment, with floor-to-ceiling servers, fiber optic lines, and a private security team downstairs. The same apartment from which I'd quietly built an empire, but instead I said, still finding myself, I suppose. Dad laughed. Well, not everyone's cut out for the real world. That was fine. Let them enjoy their assumptions. Let them feel safe inside the illusion that Emily was the success story of the family. That I was still the one fumbling through failed ideas and half-built apps. In a few hours, the illusion would shatter. Miss Chin, my CFO messaged again. CNBC exclusive scheduled. Nice ceremony greenlit. You're officially ringing the opening bell. The corners of my lips curled ever so slightly. Let them toast. Let them brag. Let them celebrate the Hamilton legacy they thought only Emily embodied, because in just under 2 hours, the world and this ballroom would learn the truth, that the invisible daughter was about to become a global force, and the Hamilton legacy, it was mine now. The ballroom hummed with chatter, laughter, and clinking glasses. The kind of noise that only came from people who believed they were at the center of the world. I watched it all from the same corner seat, still invisible, still overlooked. But not for long. My phone buzzed again. This time it was from my head of security. Miss Chin, your car is en route. Arrival ETA. 30 minutes. Nice security protocols confirmed. You will be escorted through the executive entrance. Across the room, my mother leaned in close to her country club friends, pointing toward Emily like she was some Wall Street deity. Emily just got an offer from the Treasury to advise on global markets, she said proudly. She's a star. A second buzz. This one from my CTO. Real-time AI response model now live. System exceeding performance benchmarks. Projected first-day traffic already at 270% capacity. Translation: our tech was already rewriting the future of finance, and we hadn't even hit the opening bell. Still glued to that phone, Emily's voice cut through my thoughts. She slid into the seat beside me, glancing down at my screen, like it was beneath her. You should really learn to be present, Charlotte. That's the key to leadership. I tilted my head. Interesting advice. Did you give the same to your fund manager last week, when you missed your quarterly return targets? Her face stiffened for just a moment before she chuckled. Returns fluctuate. Real leadership is about presence. Presence and influence, not code. She said the last word like it was an insult. That was fine, because the code I wrote was already doing things her team of analysts couldn't dream of. Real-time market prediction, risk matrix forecasting, deep learning trade optimization across 32 countries, but sure presence. From behind us, my father's voice rang out. Come on, Charlotte, tell us about your little app. Emily was just explaining derivatives pricing strategy to the Morgans. The Morgans, of course. The same Morgans whose bank had been quietly trying to license my AI for weeks, unaware the founder was the woman they once told to stick with marketing. A waiter offered me a glass of champagne. I declined. I preferred clarity for the next 90 minutes. Emily accepted hers and raised it high. A toast, she called out to a nearby circle of guests. To innovation, leadership, and doing things the right way. Everyone clapped. Except me. My phone lit up again. Miss Chin. Final valuation estimates in. Opening price expected to hit 300 share. Total company valuation projected at $95 billion. A slow exhale escaped my lips. I glanced at the ballroom's massive LED screen, still playing CNBC on mute. The headline scrolled across the bottom of the screen. Breaking. Touch Fusion IPO to reshape AI finance. Founder identity still unknown. Charlotte. Mom said sharply from a few feet away. At least smile. You're embarrassing yourself. The Morgans think you're bored. Oh no, I said evenly. Just focused. She rolled her eyes. Still pretending to be some kind of entrepreneur, I see. That phase is lasting longer than we expected. Let her pretend. Emily chimed in, swirling her champagne. It's adorable, really, though we might need to explain how IPOs actually work if she wants to impress anyone. Right, I said softly. I'm sure I'll need a refresher on that. Another message buzzed on my screen. Nice confirms. You're first on stage. CNBC anchor will introduce you as tech's new queen. I locked my phone and finally stood up. I could feel eyes turning toward me, half from confusion, half from irritation. I'd disrupted the background role they'd scripted for me. Where are you going? Emily asked, brows arched. To work. I said. My mother stepped closer. Work? On today of all days? This is your father's birthday. He'll understand, I said, brushing past. Behind me, Dad called out, Charlotte, don't be rude. This is family. I paused at the edge of the ballroom and turned back to face them. That's why I'm leaving, I said gently. More phones buzzed around the room. Guests frowned and checked their notifications. The ballroom screen, still tuned to CNBC, suddenly switched to live footage of the New York Stock Exchange. A voice boomed across the speakers. Tech Fusion's mysterious founder has just arrived on site. The woman being called the future of finance is about to ring the opening bell. Sources confirm. Her name is Charlotte Chin Hamilton. The ballroom froze. Champagne glasses stilled mid-air. Conversations cut off mid-sentence. I saw Emily's eyes widen. She looked at the screen, then at me, then back again, trying to connect dots. She didn't want to believe. What? She whispered. More alerts chimed in unison, like a chorus of disbelief. Breaking. Charlotte Hamilton revealed as founder of Tech Fusion. Pre-market valuation, $95 billion. World's youngest self-made billionaire to ring NYSE bell. AI. Disruptor Charlotte Chin Hamilton stuns Wall Street. My mother took a step back, as if physically struck. You? She stammered. Dad's face went pale. His hand slipped from his wine glass as he stared at me like a stranger had just walked into the room. Emily looked down at her phone. Her hands were shaking. It can't be you, she whispered. You were failing. No, I said. You were just too busy celebrating yourselves to notice I was building something bigger than all of this. More guests had gathered by the screens. Photos of me at Tech Fusion headquarters were now being broadcast live. Me at press conferences, me with heads of state, me with global CEOs, the same girl they ignored, dismissed, ridiculed. Charlotte Chin Hamilton, CEO, billionaire, founder. The room was dead silent as I made my way to the exit. Miss Chin, my assistant's voice crackled into my earpiece. Car is outside. NYSE is ready. Markets are holding breath. As I reached the main doors, I turned back one last time. Enjoy the party, I said, smiling. Today's celebration just got a little more interesting. The Blacktown car pulled away from the Ritz-Carlton just as the news broke on every major financial network. My face, once dismissed at family dinners, ignored at reunions, was now on every screen in America. CNBC anchors were breathless with speculation. And there she is, ladies and gentlemen. Charlotte Chin Hamilton, once considered the quiet, underachieving daughter of the powerful Hamilton family, is now the tech visionary behind the largest IPO in history. Tech Fusion is changing the game. I sat back in the leather seat, hands folded calmly in my lap. Outside, traffic slowed as pedestrians pointed at the rolling billboard trucks that now bore my photo and the headline, The Silent Billionaire, Charlotte Hamilton's AI Revolution. My phone buzzed nonstop. Dozens of missed calls. Family, members, investors, reporters, and yes, even Emily. But I wasn't in the mood to answer. Not yet, Miss Hamilton. My security chief's voice crackled in my earpiece. We're approaching the NYSE. Your security escort is in place. Bell ceremony begins in 20 minutes. CNBC and Bloomberg are both preparing to go live. From the car window, I saw the crowd gathered outside the New York Stock Exchange. Journalists swarmed the barricades. Fans held up signs. Tech Queen, one read. Chin over Wall Street, read another. All this for the family failure. The car rolled to a stop. The doors opened, and I stepped out in silence. Flashes exploded. Reporters screamed questions. My team blocked them gently, guiding me up the marble steps. The NYSE banners were massive, navy blue with the Tech Fusion logo unfurling across the columns like a crown. Inside, executives waited in awe. Some tried to hide their shock behind forced smiles. Others didn't even try. I wasn't who they expected. Miss Hamilton, the NYSE director, greeted me, still visibly flustered. It's an honor. This is history. I nodded once. Let's make it count. As we moved toward the podium, the opening bell just minutes away, screens around the room buzzed with breaking alerts. Charlotte Hamilton's personal net worth crosses $80 billion. Tech Fusion opening trades projected to begin at $390 share. AI financial tech firm now valued higher than Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley combined. My earpiece crackled again. Emily is calling. Again. Let her wait, I said. Inside the trading floor, the energy shifted. You could feel it in the tension, the tight grips on phones, The way brokers glanced up from their monitors with visible unease. Touch fusion wasn't a trend. It was a reckoning. Miss Hamilton, cameras are going live in 90 seconds, said the broadcast coordinator. You'll stand here. When I give the cue, strike the bell. I took my place and looked straight into the lens. Somewhere on the other end of that camera, my family was watching, probably surrounded by half-drunk glasses of champagne. Their celebration frozen in disbelief. My phone vibrated again. A new text from Emily. Tell me this isn't real. You're not behind Touch Fusion, are you? No reply. Let her sit with the doubt for a while. 60 seconds. The coordinator announced. I scanned the room. Traders, executives, politicians, reporters. Every one of them once too important to look my way. Now, they were waiting for me. 30 seconds. I thought of the years I'd spent alone in my apartment, coding for 18 hours straight. The loneliness, the rejection, the silence that came after every pitch meeting where I was told I wasn't visionary enough. The time Emily called my business phase. The time my father said, at least Emily's making something of herself. 10 seconds. Now, I was about to ring a bell that would shatter their illusions and their industries. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 strike. Clang. The sound echoed like thunder through the floor, then rippled across the world. Screens everywhere burst to life with live trading figures. Touch Fusion shares surged past $400 within seconds. The crowd roared, but I stood still, because for me, the noise had already happened years ago. In silence, now came the satisfaction. From the balcony, I watched the numbers climb. It was dizzying. 405, $412, 4 to 5. Behind me, a producer whispered to someone, we've never seen anything like this. She's bigger than Zuckerberg. Gates, all of them. My assistant approached with a fresh phone. Miss Hamilton, we've prepped the official statement. Also, Emily has sent 17 messages and is requesting a private meeting. Tell her I'm booked, I said coolly. Another alert. SEC confirms, Charlotte Hamilton becomes youngest self-made female billionaire in history. The camera zoomed in on my face. I didn't smile. I didn't wave. I let the world look into the eyes of the woman they overlooked. CNBC anchors were breathless. She was called the quiet sister, the failure, the coder, and now, she is Wall Street's most powerful disruptor. Back at the Ritz-Carlton, I imagined the scene. My father's stunned expression, my mother's pearls trembling, Emily frantically checking her hedge funds back end, only to realize it ran on my software. I finally unlocked my phone. Emily's most recent message blinked across the screen. Please, can we talk? I had no idea. I typed one word exactly. By the time my helicopter touched down atop the Touch Fusion Tower that afternoon, my name was being chanted on Wall Street. Charlotte Chin Hamilton. It had been hours since the bell, but the momentum hadn't slowed. Touch Fusion stock closed at $412 per share, up from the opening prediction of $150. The final valuation, $120 billion. My personal stake, $84.6 billion and climbing. The moment I stepped into the 88th floor executive lounge, my assistant Sarah handed me a sleek silver tablet. Miss Hamilton, she said calmly, we've received 96 interview requests, 14 partnership offers, and an emergency call from the Treasury Secretary. Schedule the interviews. Push the Treasury. I've waited years. They can wait 10 more minutes. Also, she added, trying to keep a neutral tone, your sister is here. She's downstairs. I didn't flinch. With who? Your parents. And a few others. The Andersons, the Morgans, and someone from your father's old investment firm. I set the tablet down, the corners of my mouth twitching in amusement. The entire rejection committee, I said. Sarah gave the faintest smile. Would you like security to escort them out? I shook my head. No, let them in. I think it's time. I offered them a seat at my table. 5 minutes later, the private elevator opened with a soft ding. Emily stepped out first, visibly trying to hold herself together. She wore the same Gucci dress from the party, but it now looked desperate. Her heels clicked against the marble floor like question marks. Behind her, my mother's pearls trembled faintly against her chest. My father's tie was askew. The Andersons looked pale. The Morgans downright nervous. Charlotte, Emily started, her voice brittle. We had no idea what you were building, what you'd done. That's clear, I replied, walking toward them slowly. The lounge was silent but for the buzz of screens and the soft hum of servers. Though you seemed pretty sure I was wasting my life yesterday, it was never personal. My father jumped in, adjusting his cufflinks as though that would fix the last 10 years. We just thought finance was more stable, something with pedigree, like Emily. I looked at Emily. Still think playing with computer games isn't real business? She flinched but said nothing. Your hedge fund's back-end system runs on my platform, I continued. And your risk models? They've been using my predictive AI engine for the last year. Her mouth fell open slightly. You're welcome, I added. Charlotte, my mother said gently, let's not be spiteful. This is a moment to celebrate. You've finally found your place. I turned to her incredulous. Found my place? I created my place. While you were introducing Emily at charity galas, I was building a neural net capable of restructuring the global banking system in real time. While you told people I was finding myself, I was finding flaws in Goldman's predictive models. Speaking of Goldman, I added, turning to the Andersons, you rejected my funding proposal last year, said it didn't align with your traditional values. Care to reassess? They looked like they wanted the floor to open up and swallow them. We're deeply sorry, Mr. Anderson mumbled. We had no idea you were the one behind all of this. Of course you didn't, I said flatly. That's the point. You all made the same assumption. Quiet girl, tech startup, must be some quirky phase. Meanwhile, your entire financial ecosystems are built on my work. My father stepped forward. Charlotte, let's talk like family. You mean the same family that suggested I apply for an internship under Emily? Or the one that said I wasn't Hamilton enough to handle pressure? He winced. You dismissed me, repeatedly. Every Thanksgiving, every reunion, every time you laughed. When I said I was working, I didn't know, Emily said again, this time quieter. And you never asked, I said. Silence fell over the room. The sound of an empire humming behind me, digital screens tracking markets in Tokyo, Zurich, London, all responding to my technology. I took a breath and looked around the room. You're all here now. Not because you care about me, but because I became useful, profitable, marketable. That's not true, my mother began. It is, I cut in. And I'm not angry about it. Not anymore. I'm just done pretending I'm less than I am to make others comfortable. Sarah stepped forward again. Miss Hamilton, CNN is on line 1. Would you like to take it here or your office? Here is fine, I said, then looked back at my family. Feel free to watch. Emily looked at the glowing screens surrounding us, watching her fun stock wobble in the wake of my AI announcement. What happens now? She asked quietly. I smiled. Now, you watch what real success looks like. And this time, you'll have a front row seat. As the room dimmed and the live camera connected, I stood at the center of the lounge, framed by the skyline and digital brilliance of Touch Fusion. Charlotte Hamilton, CNN, the anchor's voice rang out. The world wants to know, how does it feel to go from overlooked to iconic in one day? I smiled into the lens. It didn't take one day. It took 10 years of silence, of rejection, of being underestimated, and it feels earned. Behind me, my family sat in stunned silence as the segment rolled live across the world. The camera light turned red. Charlotte Hamilton, founder of Touch Fusion, the CNN anchor announced, has just become the world's youngest self-made billionaire. Her revolutionary AI platform is now the foundation of global finance. The broadcast ended, and the screen behind me faded into a Touch Fusion logo as I turned back toward the room. My parents, Emily, the Andersons all sat frozen on the sleek white couches, digesting everything they'd just witnessed. The girl they'd sidelined for years had just taken center stage in front of the entire world. Charlotte, my father stood slowly, trying to regain his composure. We underestimated you. That's an understatement, I replied, calmly. You tried to erase me. No, he said quickly. We just dismissed me. I finished for him, mocked my work, and tried to fit me into a box. You understood. My mother's voice cracked. But we were just trying to protect you. From what? I asked. From ambition? From building something greater than your expectations? I turned to Emily. She sat rigid, staring at the Bloomberg ticker on the glass wall. Touch Fusion, 429.56 share. Charlotte Hamilton net worth, 88.4 billion. Emily's voice was soft, almost childlike. You were always in that tiny apartment. I thought you were struggling. I gave a gentle shrug. That apartment? It was Touch Fusion's command center, every wall wired with biometric encryption. You thought I had roommates, those were AI engineers from MIT. That old couch you mocked? It cost $180,000. Nanotech fabric, designed to help optimize brainwaves during coding marathons. But the pizza boxes, she mumbled, focus fuel. I smiled. Silence. Mr. Anderson cleared his throat. Charlotte, we'd like to formally apologize. And, if you'd be open to it, our firm would be honored to join your next funding round. I walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking out at the skyline that stretched from Wall Street to the far reaches of Manhattan. Then I turned to face them. I built this company while you laughed, while you invited Emily to every event, and told people I was still figuring it out. No more apologies, I said firmly. What I want now is clarity. They looked confused. Clarity, I continued, about where I stand, and where you all stand, because things have changed. My father stiffened. Charlotte, we're still family. I'm aware. That's why I'm giving you this moment privately before the public learns what I've decided. Emily blinked. What do you mean? Sarah, my assistant, stepped forward. Miss Hamilton has completed the paperwork to establish the Hamilton Legacy Trust. It will redirect all family holdings and assets under Charlotte's new leadership. My mother gasped. What? My father said, eyes widening. You made the Hamilton name synonymous with banking and tradition, I said. But I've made it synonymous with innovation and power. I'm rebranding it, effective immediately. All family assets, including the fund Emily manages, will operate under the Touch Fusion umbrella. Emily jumped to her feet. You can't do that. I already did. Her face flushed. That's not fair. You know what's not fair, I said, my voice rising just slightly. Being told you're not enough, that your dreams are silly, that you should settle for less because your family decided you'd never be anything more than an afterthought. I stepped closer. You inherited a seat at the table, Emily. I built the table from scratch. Sarah handed me a silver folder. I placed it gently on the coffee table. What's that? My mother asked, her voice trembling. Your options, I replied. Option 1. Stay on as honorary board members with no voting rights. You smile, attend galas, and enjoy the perks. Option 2. Cash out, walk away, and never speak on my behalf again. My father looked stunned. Charlotte, this is ruthless. No, I said. This is leadership. My phone buzzed. Sarah checked it. Miss Hamilton, she said. Forbes just confirmed you've overtaken the number 3 spot on the billionaire list. Bloomberg would like a follow-up interview. I nodded. Tell them I'll be ready in 20 minutes. Then I looked around the room at my family. For now, I need a few moments. Alone. The group shuffled out slowly, one by one, silent and shaken. Emily paused in the doorway, looked back as if she wanted to say something, then thought better of it. When the door finally closed, I stood in the quiet. I walked to my office. Glass walls, minimalist decor, and a single photograph on the desk. Me as a teenager, sitting alone at a family dinner, headphones on, laptop open, ignored. I picked it up and smiled. She didn't need them. She needed a chance, and she gave herself one. Miss Hamilton. Sarah appeared in the doorway. Are you ready for your next interview? I nodded. Yes. But one last thing before we begin, of course. I sat down behind my desk, pulled up the mainframe controls on my screen. Redirect all future company mail to Touch Fusion Plaza. Remove all mention of the old family address. She hesitated, then nodded. Done. And with that, I turned back to the camera. For years, they told me I'd never make it. Now they're all watching from the sidelines. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success, it's building a world where they have to knock on your door just to stay relevant. And when they do, you decide whether or not to open it.